Hello, this is Anthony Miraz, and I'm here with Aidan. How are
Hi,
you today?
I'm very pleased to be here. Doing
Okay,
good today. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Today we're going to be talking about Period 1 and Period 2 and the early settlement of America.
All right. So where would you like to start?
We can start off with Christopher Columbus.
All right. Well, obviously, there's no ignoring the fact that Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
That is a true fact.
I think one of the big questions about Christopher Columbus is his morals and how ethic he was.
That is a good question. Well, if we start off with the beginning of his morals, I don't think he intentionally wanted to kill millions of people. He was looking for a new trade route to India and found America. But in the end, greed did get over him, and many people died because of his actions.
Greed is a big thing, and there's no questioning that many people may have died in the long run. But Columbus's legacy was a great thing. He died in 1506, but he still believed then that he had found a route to Asia.
He did die thinking that, and it is crazy to think that just that discovery changed the entire world forever and led new paths from North America to Europe and all these trade routes.
These trade routes were great and everything, but I still think America could have been founded and survived even without Christopher Columbus and his poor morals.
I agree with that, but it's a question of how long would it have taken Christopher Columbus? I mean, how long would it have taken America to be found by another country or settlement?
I don't think it would have taken too long. You have the Native Americans that were already here, and then, of course, you hear stories of other countries finding places like Canada.
Crazy thing to talk about is the domino effect of Christopher Columbus discovering America, not for the first time, but in the 1400s.
Of course, yeah, the domino effect was something great in the long run for America, but it also led to a lot of deaths, especially with Native Americans. And overall, though, it did lead to the Great Expansion and what is America today.
That is true. One of the biggest expansions early on was Jamestown, which was one of the first settlements in America. Although it didn't really work out well, that it was a huge landmark for the country and what would come of it.
Yes, you are right. Jamestown was huge in the part of America, but it was also huge in the part of the fight with Native Americans. And Jamestown, you can see there was a lot of early problems, even not including the Native Americans. The first settlers suffered a lot, mostly from their own mistakes, but it was just not a good area to settle. It had dysentery, a lot of malaria, and there just wasn't very good growth there.
Yeah. Well, a huge reason for this was how swampy the area they chose to locate was. It's all the bacteria in the water caused all the diseases.
It was, you're right. It was that salty, not quite fresh water, and they just couldn't grow much. And I think that's one of the big things that led to a lot of the deaths of the settlers.
One of the major good things to come out of Virginia, though, and Jamestown was the use of tobacco and like the finding of it, and how it definitely vamped up the sales and revenue of the new colonies.
Tobacco was a great thing, especially it being such a profitable cash crop. But so, despite tobacco, even in the early 1600s, the Virginia colony almost collapsed. More than 6,000 people had set up there, but only 2,000 had remained alive.
Another sad part about the whole Jamestown thing is the use of indentured servants, which would soon turn into slavery because of the wide use of tobacco and how it needed a lot of labor.
You're right, and indentured servants did, to some degree, lead to slavery. But a lot of times, those people trying to come to the New World and get their new start.
Another point to talk about the colonies that's not in a negative way is to talk about why a lot of people went from other countries to the colonies. You could talk about religion, just freedom from other countries.
You're right, and that's a lot of what the pilgrims were. Typically pilgrims are people who move from place to place for religious values or beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the main groups of pilgrims was the Plymouth colony, the separatists.
There were also a lot of colonies too, like the Massachusetts Bay Colony, the Chesapeake Colony, and just other colonies that were there based off religion and just beliefs of freedom, and they should not be a part of other countries.
Right, and I think that's one of the main things that America was actually founded on, the belief of religious freedom. And back to the topic of the indentured servants and slavery. You can trace it back to 1619 when a Dutch ship brought a group of indentured servants into Virginia. And they were African American, or they were black Africans.
The whole issue of slavery also did cause a lot of problems, like Bacon's Rebellion, which was a group of indentured servants who wanted to rise against the people who were in control of them.
Of course, that was also a very short-lived problem. The sharp class differences just varied between the planters and the landlords, the people who ran these farms and plantations.
If we skip forward into the early 1700s and late 1600s, we can talk about how prominent slavery became because of the reduced migration, dependable workforce, and how cheap the labor was.
There was a large increased demand for slaves at the time because of how cheap they were. You may have paid more for them than indentured servants in the beginning, but in the long run, they seemed more financially smart of an idea. And it was also just cheaper in general.
Yeah, another big reason for this was slaves could not gain their freedom like indentured servants can, so there's no need to worry about getting more indentured servants when you can just keep one slave or multiple slaves that could be there until they're passing or you're passing.
And you're right about that, but when you look at it, especially at the charts during the time, you can see a lot of indentured servants didn't actually get their freedom in the long run, because if they broke any rules or committed any crimes, they were punishable by restarting your time as an indentured servant.
This entire use of slavery was later monopolized into the triangle trade, which was when the British colonies sent goods to Europe, Europe sent goods to the British colonies, and then just to Africa and back and forth, and that's how they got their money and used slaves to make this revenue.
You're right, and a lot of the slaves actually did come from Africa, and it was monopolized by that single company, the Royal African Company.
To wrap all this together, we can talk about how the whole domino effect with Columbus was a big factor for all this, because if Columbus never discovered the Americas when he did, all this trade routes, all this institution of slavery wouldn't have happened in America at this time.
You're right, and a lot of it led to the monopolization of trade, both raw materials, processed materials, and slaves themselves.
Okay. And this has been Anthony Mraz and Aidan McLeod, and we're signing out.
Thank you for having me today, Anthony.
Of course.